what do we call our people? Well, good evening,
Yeah, how do we intro these again?
Shippers.
Oh yeah, you've done every single intro, dozens of
Okay, do you
episodes.
wanna do it?
You never remember how to do it, Click. Come on now.
Yeah, but I do remember it, just not instantly.
All right,
Do you want to do this? I feel like
No,
giving me a lot of
it's fine.
shit,
I don't
but
wanna take over.
I'm the one driving this. I feel
I'm
okay.
not steering this
okay.
ship. Come on.
Well, good evening, all you little rascal. No, okay, that's not it. Well, good evening, crewmates, aka shippers, and welcome to
there
the
it
Ship
is.
Podcast with me, Clicky Wiki, and Topicky Wapicky at a time. I hope you're doing dandy finalicious today. Today we have a guest on here, which is a very fine-looking man. Do you want to introduce yourself to the lovely squad fam at home?
Hello, squad fam. I am Mr. Gigi, and I'm joining these two very special fellows today.
I love that we make every guest regret saying yes to coming on within the first minute of the recording.
But I
perfect.
feel more like that's how we set the standard. If the first minute is a disappointment, then it can only get better further into the episode.
Do you think that'll make people stay if the first minute they show up to is just terrible?
Gigi just leaves the call.
I just didn't know if he was serious with the intro. I was like, oh, we're running with this. All right, yeah, let's go.
Ouch! Ouch!
I don't even know where it's going to start. I have no idea. Please fix this. Gigi, we were riffing about YouTube stuff before we started. Do you remember what we were talking about?
We were talking about YouTube and how it likes to treat us like children sometimes, and also make us feel terrible for making YouTube videos.
Yes.
I've talked about this a little bit on stream, but I find it somewhat rich in a small way. And I don't want to come off too cynical, but I find it a little bit rich that YouTube says that they're focusing quite a bit on the mental health of their creators, while also not giving us, like simultaneously not giving us the tools in which to carefully navigate their system that would benefit ourselves mentally. They include instead very stressful points that I don't think many people would recognize unless they upload videos on the regular. One of them being, we were talking about the fireworks that happen. Click, do you want to tell us your impression of the fireworks?
Yeah, my impression of the fireworks. So when you upload a video to YouTube, YouTube compares this fresh video to your 10 latest videos. So it's like 10 out of 10 is the worst, 1 out of 10 is the best, and it's only basically views it compares. And if you get a 1 out of 10, like this video is the best performing out of your 10 last ones, you have small fireworks around that number to like give you a little bit of endorphins. It's like getting a gold star in your homework. Like, this video was good, do more like this. And then you do an exact similar one. It's like, no, it's the one, now it's a 10 out of 10. You're a dumb child. Here's your spank.
It's a little silly that it's the inverse too. Like, you'd think 1 out of 10, yay, but no, that's you think 10 out of... Hang on.
That has messed up my entire
Oh, now I've mixed it up. I was about to say
anything.
the other way, and now I've said it the way YouTube wants me to say. Dang it!
But it's messed up my scaling for anything in life.
Yes.
When people say like, "Oh yeah, this. How do you like the first day at this office?" Oh, it's a 10 out of 10. I'm like, so it's that bad? They just flipped it.
So
I had no idea
go
that they were talking about mental health for creators. That was even brought up at one point. I didn't know that was a thing.
There was some like Susan brought up that it is important for creators to take breaks, for example, and that if you do take a break, the algorithm won't punish you when you come back. So if you take some time off, a vacation, for example, then you upload later on, that you will be fine. And time again, creators reach out and say, actually, no, that didn't seem to work out. And so it's just it seems to work. If you upload like a machine, like if you upload every 15 minutes a brand new video, it seems like the algorithm treats you pretty well. But if you upload, once every couple of weeks or so, it's kind of hit and miss sometimes. And that's actually something I'm really interested in for a channel like yours. You run several channels and you upload just a variety of content. But on your main channel, for example, you don't upload as often as Click or I do. So like, how much do those metrics actually factor into like what you do?
Well, at this point, my channel's basically washed. It's a shell of what it used to be. And, I don't know. There's not really any good news on that end. It's just kind of, once you start to, I feel like at one point in your YouTube career, no matter where you are, I feel like you have like your heyday, right?
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're kind of like really at your peak. Like your analytics are insane, and they're usually sometimes like blasting your sub count out of the water. Right. It's kind of like a honeymoon phase where like you're the new hot shot on the block, right? That dies out
pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have to kind of keep convincing your audience that like, hey guys, I'm still cool, So keep watching, right? So that becomes a struggle. And in addition to that, if you ever want to change content or change your upload schedule, like all that matters so much. So saying you can take a break, you really can't.
Mhm.
Unless you're one of the few creators, a la Nerd City, a la JonTron, or Michael Reeves, where you can take these like 3-month breaks, but when
Mhm.
you come back, everybody knows it's going to be an incredible video. You
Mhm.
really can't do that, or you have to prove that, which is just as difficult because then you have to be consistent for like a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like you have
I
to
think-
build it up from the ground all over again after you've already built it up from the ground. It's
But
such a
by the
challenge.
way, the beginning of that where I was calling my channel Washed, I was trying to make a joke, but nobody laughed.
Okay,
so
no, dude,
I was just
so
like,
worried.
I hope you
Oh,
guys don't
God.
think
Yeah,
like I'm
I
we
was-
just.
invited
like,
Gigi
super
on, we
concerned. I was
poked
like,
fun
oh,
at YouTube,
no.
and then it's like, no, he's like,
No.
actually, I'm going through that right now. I'm so sad. It's like, oh God.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay. Oh, jeez,
Okay, let's-
man.
No, it's
All right.
fine.
Don't scare us
I
like
didn't
that.
want
My
to have
God.
a therapy session with you guys. I was just trying to.
Okay. Tell us your deepest, darkest.
We're recording, right? Like he knows this is going out.
Oh, damn. No, but I can. I think the vacation thing on YouTube only really works if, like you said, you're a big name. If you are pretty much a borderline actual celebrity where people will know your name no matter where you show up, I think then it works to take a vacation because that kind of goes above the algorithm. The algorithm very much gives you impression based on what you have uploaded. I have noticed that, for example, the times when the channel does the best is when you have a well-performing video and then you have a very consistent upload schedule after that. So the
Yes.
impressions kind of push each other. It's like a snowball effect. But as soon as you take a break or you have a few videos in a row that don't do as well, then the whole thing slows down. So
And what are
taking a-
impressions click? Like, let's take a little bit of a step back, just in
Oh,
case
yes.
anyone's
Oh,
not
yes.
familiar with some of the YouTube lingo.
Because us experts are going so fast.
Basically, an impression is whenever someone sees your video on the YouTube page.
Mhm.
So, for example, when you see a video fly by your homepage in the next videos section or suggested videos for you, that's an impression. And then click-through rate that we often talk about is how often someone clicks on your specific thumbnail and title out of that sea of videos that YouTube pushes in front of you. So the more enticing the video, the more often people click on it, and that kind of snowballs into the video also being shown more often because the algorithm assumes it's a hip topic.
So if you
That's
if you
pretty much
are
how it
someone
works.
of a celebrity status, for example, it will show it to a lot more people that then have the opportunity to click on it. So impressions factor into how many people will have the ability to click on your video or essentially know that it exists. If YouTube doesn't really know who you are, generally, it won't show it to as many people. And if those people decide that this isn't the topic for them or the video for them, they won't click on it. And then YouTube will slowly show it to fewer and fewer people over time. So, for example, if you take a break and YouTube then's like, nah, you didn't really upload for a while. Let's test the waters on a smaller sample group. And if that smaller sample group doesn't click on you right away, then it could snowball into fewer and fewer people knowing that your video existed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I must say, though,
Bit of a
one
breakdown.
feature they implemented, but that feature has been a thing for a long time. I'm
Sure.
talking because I've been on this platform for so many years, is actually the ability to schedule videos.
Oh,
That kind of
yeah.
allows you to take a vacation.
Mm.
You still have to work ahead of it, of course, but then you can easily schedule 1 or 2 videos if you're gone for a week, for example,
Mhm.
and your channel rolls as usual. So that is actually one way the system allows you to kind of take time off. And that's how I do it myself when I take vacation from YouTube.
Yeah,
I
you've had
don't
the
take pauses
ability
from
to, like,
uploading.
You've had the ability to work on like several videos back to back and then have a queue of them. That's pretty handy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now, for example. I'm leaving on a small summer vacation in a week. So I
Mhm.
have like slowly recorded slightly more than I release. So I'm slowly building up a backlog for that week that I'm going to be gone.
do you take
That's-
time off, Gigi?
Take time off as in like
Yeah.
vacation.
Do you ever not work?
Mhm.
I'm not
Uh,
sure how much. Like what you do takes a lot of time to like. You watch a video. I assume you watch a movie a few times. Write a script. You got to check your notes. Then review the footage for like what you can use, and then polish it up, and then work on a thumbnail. And then it sounds like a lot of work goes into it. So I don't. And you work on several things all at once and stream. Good lord, everyone! Did you know that Gigi streams? Link on screen. Thank you.
I
And,
would say.
so-
Okay, enough promotion. I'm sick of it.
yes,
okay,
yes, yes.
so, going back in time a little bit to when I was like when I was busting out, let's say like 4 to 6 videos a month, you know, being movie reviews for the majority, and I was doing a lot of the editing and so forth and so forth. Like that genuinely sucked
Mm.
a lot.
Mhm.
That was no fun by any means. It was draining. And it was a thing where I was pretty much just working nonstop. I wake up, work, and then by the time I'm decide not to work, it's already nighttime, and it's a thing where it's it's not healthy. One, it is possible that you start to gain a lot of weight because you're just sitting in your damn chair all day and you're doing nothing else. And then also it can creep into your personal life too because you're just not there anymore. So like,
oh yeah, oh my god, yes.
I definitely understand the importance of taking time, because as much as you want to grind YouTube and just really go all out and do everything you want to do, like you really need to take time for yourself. And I had to learn that the hard way, because there was a point where I hated myself. I hated YouTube. I started to hate making videos because I just had to be like creative on demand. Because I would also book a lot of sponsorships as well. And so they were like all gathering together and they were like, all right, well, can you release this month? It's like, no, dude, no, I can't. It's like, okay, but we're going to make you release this month. It's like, all right, fine. Yeah, I can do that. It's fine. It's just like, that's terrible. And I had to steer away from that and finally get to a point where now I'm able to delegate pretty much the overwhelming majority of my editing at this point, because I'm done with editing. I hate it. I no longer want to return to it. I'll do it for fun as a hobby, for like little tiny projects, right? And I can delegate now, and I'm also starting to delegate for thumbnails too now. And now I'm just really starting to focus on projects that I'm genuinely passionate about, that I want to take my time on, really have them refined and beautiful, and just be proud when it releases.
It sounds like a very natural thing that most YouTubers go through, I think. I have gone through a very similar story as well, where in the beginning I used to do everything myself, set up every night, every 7 days a week, never took any days off. And then it slowly transitioned into me getting burnt out on some of those tasks and slowly outsourcing them. And finally, just as for the last few weeks, I would say, now I've finally reached a comfortable point where like, oh, I can work relatively normal hours and get away with it. And it's super nice. Oh, this life opened up again. And all your friends wonder where the hell you were for 2 years.
I'm still in that early phase, I suppose. I've tried out sourcing out different things to editors and whatnot, but at the moment, the most consistent thing I can do is work on my projects myself. And so today, for example, I'm cruising on about 2 days of daylight for myself, and then today I'll sleep, and then tonight I'm streaming, and then tomorrow I'll probably be back to project working and stuff. But what you said about like working 7 days a week constantly, as soon as you wake up, you're working, you go to sleep, you're still working your dreams, and so on and so forth. That feels very real, because that's still what I'm going through now. And I don't know if, like, a lot of people, when they look from the outside in, they'll see a video go up every week or so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They won't know that sometimes one of the things that holds you back it is needing to have a life and needing to do things outside of YouTube. And what you brought up was actually really interesting of when your content going live it's not always up to you, but sometimes it's up to whether or not you have the inclusion of a sponsorship in that video. That's super interesting. Does it affect you still these days just as much?
No, there was definitely a period where, I'll be frank, I was getting a lot of sponsorship opportunities left and right. And, I was very much of the mindset of you don't block your blessings. So I was like, all right, I'll take on what I feel is manageable. Sure, let's do it. And then it would end up becoming a thing where it's like, hey, you got 6 sponsorships in 1 month, which sounds great. It's like, oh, okay, bills will be paid. But then also, well, you got to make 6 videos. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound as fun. So, that used to be a really big problem. Nowadays, since I'm taking a lot more time with videos, and I'm planning on only really releasing like 1 to 2 videos a month max, I'm just able to be selective with sponsors and just really be picky. And the video's gonna be sponsored, but it's just more so like I feel like the ball's in my court now. Because I can be like, well, no, I want to upload on this date. And it's like, if you want to work with that. Because you really don't, a lot of creators really don't realize how much power they have with sponsors. Because creators are afraid to ask for certain things or ask for certain demands or say, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I think once I started to not care about it and be like, I don't need you guys because I can be picky now, that's when I realized I was like, oh, a lot of you guys need me more than I need you. So
yes.
I can
Oh, yes.
I can make a decent list of demands and be like, well, I want to upload on this date. It's like, okay, like, all right, cool.
That's really
But
interesting.
that's very true.
Hmm.
It's very true. When would you say that changed for you mainly? When you came to the point where you felt they wanted you more than you wanted them? Was there like a key deciding factor, or was it time, or was it experience, or
I think
what made that difference in the end?
It was when I finally made that decision to be like, okay, I just want to upload 1 to 2 videos a month, so on and so forth. I would still get a shit ton of sponsorship emails. Can I curse here?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, go for
Okay.
it. Go for
I
it.
don't want to encourage it. I'm just saying, I'll stop in my
fine.
tracks right there and watch it.
Now everyone knows what swear words are.
Oh no, now it's demonetized. Sorry, guys.
Oh, frickin'
okay.
frack.
Just trim this and put it in the first 30 seconds so you don't get paid for this.
Just demonetize it right away so we get it over with. That's it. Done.
Okay, to answer your question, when I decided to make that change, and I would still get a bunch of sponsorship emails, so I was obviously replying to all of them, and I started asking for higher numbers that I've never asked for, and I was like, they're not gonna go for that, and then I started to realize, wait a minute, a lot of you guys are going for it. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm starting to get it now, and then they started to throw in their little things for like, hey, by the way, we can use you as promotional material for the next 60 days, or some little caveat like that. I'm not sure if that's the right word. And then I was like, well, no, I don't want that. I don't want that in the contract. Okay, yeah. And I was like, oh man, they're listening to me. they're doing what I
it's
say.
beautiful.
And then I noticed too when I would say like, oh no, I'm gonna respectfully decline. They would blow up my email. Like, hey, I'm sure we can make this work. Hey, come on,
Right.
we can
my
do this.
God.
And I'm like,
yes.
I see the dynamic now. I understand. It's all starting to become a bit more
It's
clear.
I think it's interesting. It's kind of like, I've seen that in multiple facets of life, and I think it becomes very true here as well. It's kind of like what I like to call kind of the cat dynamic. You know how a cat comes up to you and wants to be petted when you don't want to or don't have time, or when it
Right.
comes up to you to be petted, it's just out of reach, so you still have to make an effort to show that you want it more than it wants you. It's kind of that thing, and humans still fall for it. We're idiots. But that was something I found as well with sponsors. I used to be super scared of saying no because the fear of missing out, I suppose. You know, very junior and didn't really know what it could lead to in the future. But then recently, I had a very similar experience where I said no to a sponsor who was offering way too little for way too much. And I said, no, here's my minimal rate. Take it or leave it. And they reached out to me like, I didn't even reply to their emails. They just kept increasing the rate. It was like, oh, how about this? How about this? Okay, we'll do your minimum rate without me even arguing back. So they just kind of debated themselves up to the asking price in the first place. And that was really interesting. Then I ended up not going for it because their demands on days was kind of weird. They wanted it released in one day. So I said,
Is that the
no,
one
you don't.
that we've chatted about, that we DM'd about the other day?
Yes. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
when
yeah,
I
right,
declined
right.
it because of the time frame that was so ridiculous, I was just like, no, if this is how you do business, this is not how, we're not going to do this. And then they replied to me 3 more times with separate emails. Like, no, we really want to do this. And then a second partner from the same company also reached out and like, hey, I know you talked to my colleague. We really want to do this. Like this, like, come on, like Jesus, this is just getting spammy. So it sounds like I'm showing off kind of, but it's really interesting how interested some people become when you show that I have no problem walking out the door if this is too unpleasant. And that's really interesting. I think it's a good lesson to learn in life in general in a lot of places. I think, going on a small tangent, but something my father actually told me at some point was, whenever you're doing a work or a job or a partnership or anything, you should always try to have he called it a F-off capital. And you should have enough margin so you can always just walk out the door if you want to. And that gives you so much confidence in any kind of negotiations or what have you. It's such an empowerment.
When did you find that sponsors started reaching out to you, Gigi? Did you see that it was like video size that drew them in, or was it a certain subscriber number that you started getting pinged on in your email?
I think it was a small combination of both, right? I think it was around 100K 100K subs when I first got my first like sponsorship offers in my email.
Hmm.
So I think it was right around there. I don't know if it was because like it was like a little cute number, or at that time I started having videos that were blowing up. But that was right around when I first started getting sponsorship offers.
Hmm.
Mm. What's the most ridiculous offer you have ever had made to you? Like, not counting obvious scams, but like, what's the most ridiculous offer someone made you?
Oh, so like
If you're
bad,
allowed to talk
bad,
about it.
bad ridiculous. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I thought you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
going
like really
good
bad
ridiculous.
Oh no, no.
Who was just
Bad
showering
ridiculous,
you.
always more fun.
Okay.
Yeah, who can we hit up?
Bad.
Exactly.
Bad ridiculous. Man, there's a lot. I mean, there's a bunch of like low tier sponsorship offers, and what I mean by that is like when you get the email and like there's typos. They don't really even explain what the product is. They don't have like the cute little calling card at the bottom of the email where they have their face and it says, "Oh, I'm the marketing representative." Like there's nothing there. It just looks like it says like sent from iPhone at the bottom. Just like those, just you ignore those. Those are bad. But in terms of ridiculous, were like the terms. I've gotten okay. Okay. Ridiculous, I would say I pretty much unfortunately agreed to someone to use my promotional material, I believe in perpetuity. Completely, which to me is a terrible thing to agree to. Don't ever do that.
Right.
It was ridiculous because when that was told to me, like, hey, can we use this forever? And I was like, well, no. I was like, can I at least get paid for that? And their response was, oh, we don't really do that ever, but we could see if we could figure something out for you. And I was like, oh, what do you mean?
Huh.
Isn't you would 1,000% get paid for something like that? That makes no sense.
That's so strange.
That's the first thing that comes to mind. That's a whole dilemma. I love to talk about sponsors because there are so many sponsors that I dislike and so many sponsors that I've regretted doing. And, I don't want to name names because I don't want to burn bridges
I was going
entirely.
to say, like,
Oh,
do
no,
you
of
name
course
drop?
not.
But
No, we do
no.
vague talks. That's how we do it as well.
Without name dropping, I've had one experience with a sponsor.
Was it Raid? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You know what? Okay, if I go back to the part of the
Lots
conversation
of
where I said,
offers for
like,
Raid.
what point do you get hit up on email for different sponsors? I don't get any of these sponsorship emails. The only people that do email me is Raid, and I'm like, where is everyone? I keep hearing like, oh, I'm getting too many offers this month, but where are mine? So yeah, Raid emails me. I've only had one experience with a sponsorship previously, and I thought the first one went really well, but unfortunately, we hit the point like Click's father would have said, the F off point, but it ended up, I don't think we walked away as much. I think we were trying to figure out what they wanted from us. And
it was really strange. I think it went something, if you don't mind me, just
jump in.
I think it went something like this. We had one sponsorship round with them first, which went really well. They were super happy with it. The amounts paid off. They were really happy with the feedback. The links got used. Like, everything is dandy.
Yeah.
They reached out to us a month or so later and wanted to do it again, but for 3 months. So a pretty big contract, like 3 months, a contract for both our channels, including the podcast. So it was a pretty big deal, like the biggest contract for a sponsor I have ever had in front of me. And then we were like, oh, this is super good. And I started talking to this representative because they were asking a silly low price first, like really incredibly low. And I was like, well, the first time we kind of did it as a trial, like, this is not our standard rate. Here's what we're usually doing, which, of course, I explained like the CPMs and stuff behind it, how much they actually pay per 1,000 views, roughly. And it was still a very reasonable offer. And after that point, and I got him to agree to it, they were arguing like decimals after a while. So I just settled in the middle ground. And after that, I had
we'd essentially agreed to an amount. We agreed to like basic terms. And then things got a little bit more complicated. And I don't know why.
Yeah. No, they suddenly started demanding that we would write out illegal documents, for example.
Yes.
which was really strange. Well, like, can you write up a contract? It's like, well, you're the company, don't you have a standard
Can
IO
you send us a
for
template at
sponsors?
least? Help us out.
Yeah. What terms do you want? Like, oh, just standard stuff, Like, what? Huh? And that's from that point it didn't really work out because I got such a passive aggressive vibe from that representative after we actually talked about the pricing of the thing.
Yeah, they told us
tried
how
to,
many
like-
other people they're working with, and we're like, okay, cool,
Yeah, they
but
just-
like, can you give us a template? Like, that's not what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, they dropped a number. I still remember. Was it like 1,000? They said like, oh,
Yeah.
we work with
We
1,000
work
other
with
channels.
1,000
We have
other
no
podcasts.
Yeah, we have no
specifically
time for
podcasts.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, okay, that's a weird thing to drop, but like, can you still like talk to us, or are we worth that little? Like, God.
I mean, just based on the
Jesus.
size of the contract, it seemed a little weird that they wouldn't
Yeah.
spend just a moment explaining what they meant by wanting us to create a contract for them if they are the ones that are advertising and hiring us to do the advertising. It was just,
Yeah, they are the ones with terms.
if they could
So
clarify,
strange.
we would have worked with them. But after
That-
that I've had such a weird taste in my mouth from that I did get like a couple months of sponsorship offers from other people, and then I just haven't answered them, and now it's all dried up. And I'm kind of fine with that. I don't. They're too complicated.
The thing is, okay, one, that contract shenanigan sounds incredibly grimy. I've never heard that in my life. No one has ever asked
It's
me
so
to
weird.
drop a contract. Anything, if anything, well, you just send the invoice. That's it. But that's
Yeah,
That's no
tops. That's
problem.
like the basic paperwork.
yeah. That just sounds like a setup to have you misword something or say something wrong, so they can just bone you in the end.
I think I don't. Yeah, might have been that malicious. I think honestly, what it was, she was or they was probably salty. I think it was. That doesn't matter. I think they were.
We talked to a number of
I've-
people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. We had like 2 or 3 reps that we talked to, and before they ended up actually cutting it.
This was a
But-
team effort.
Exactly, it was a team effort, but I think they very much after we had settled on the price, I think they were actually not happy with it, but still wanted to work with us. So they tried after we had actually negotiated, they tried to shuffle over more of the responsibilities on us that they should actually have done themselves. I think that's kind of what they tried to pull,
Huh.
which was weird. That's the impression I got, at least.
I guess that makes sense. You've had other sponsorships go very well since then. You've worked with like Raycon and stuff. Has anyone like asked you to do something similar, Click?
Asked me to do something. What do you
Similar,
mean?
like create the
Like with the-
contract for them.
Oh no, never. God, no, never happens.
So this really was
Never
just
happens.
a one-off, super weird thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that
Yeah.
before, ever.
Don't expect that at all. I've never heard that. But I
No,
will
it's really
say,
strange.
when you brought up that story with Raid, by the way,
Yeah.
I love you, Raid.
Dude, I
You know,
love your
haven't had any
sketches.
issues.
I love
They're
your
cool.
sketches with Raid. It's so
Mhm.
fun. Because you're like, oh no, what is that? Raid! It
Ra-
comes in. It's very fun.
Raid's cool. Raid's I wouldn't hold that against him too much. I feel like the reps suck more on that. The only thing I'm not too fancy about on Raid, and I'm okay burning this bridge, I think. But no, the only thing I don't like about Raid is like they'll email me on July 10th, and I'll be like, "Hey, got an offer for you, baby." And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up? How you guys doing?" "Yeah, of course. You know you're my people." They're like, "All right, do on the 15th." And I'm like, "Hey, I don't think you know how videos work,
That's
my
tight.
guy.
That's tight. That's tight.
I'm not a machine." And they're like, "No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the hard deadline." And I'm like, "Okay, well then I guess we're not doing this. So see you next month." It's just they emailed me so late. It's like, bro, give me a fair warning. It doesn't work that way.
I don't even know if
Those-
I'd be able to do that fast. Because I assume you have to do
No.
some legwork yourself, like create a little advertisement, send it off for their review, have their approval. And you have to do all that while also balancing working on your own project. That's
Yeah.
4 days? Not
No,
a chance.
I hate getting sent that from them. But the funny thing about Raid and what I like about Raid is they let me kind of get away with a lot in my advertisements where
That is fun.
it has slowly transitioned into me just bad mouthing Raid in the advertisements. Like one thing about Raid that like the average viewer doesn't know is their what are they called? Briefs. Their briefs suck because there is so much information in their briefs. They're like 6 pages long of things you have to discuss, and it's like I can't squeeze this into 60 seconds. I don't know if you know that, right? So literally, I think my last Raid sponsorship, I'm like, oh, this video is sponsored by Bloated Details. Oh, I'm sorry, Raid Shadow Legends. Do not care.
Oh,
Do not care
and
whatsoever.
They
That's awesome.
and they approve it when you send it in.
Yeah, like literally, if you watch my last advertisement with them, I'm just like, hold on, let me re-download this game real quick. It's just like they don't care at this point, and I'm like, you know what? I love that about them. I'm fine with
That's
that.
beautiful.
Let me re-download this game with my own code.
One more download,
Dang.
baby.
I remember one where you were a character that shot another character that was yourself, and then like as you're dying, you're explaining your advertisement. Like it's wild the things that you get away with. I've seen other ads for Raid and stuff where it's just so blasé, where they're sitting there and saying, "All right, it's an app game, archers 100% gold all the time." Okay, bye. Yeah, it's like I don't feel as much fun in it. You know, I like it when I don't instantly feel the need to skip the ad. You know.
Mhm.
No, it should be a skit in itself. That's when people don't skip it. I wish more companies kind of were more lenient on that.
Yeah,
Because
it seems
for
like the
us it's very
creators want
obvious.
to do stuff, but
Yeah, but
the
it's also
companies
for
are
their
like, no, you need to use this very specific. Like you had something
it's
where you
also
had to,
for
like,
their
re-record
benefit.
for one word, right?
Yeah, I had one word I had to re-record for. It was like I don't remember which sponsor it was, but it was one specific wording on something. It's like that's one word, nobody's gonna care. It's like no, we have to do this. Like okay, and the thing I miss kind of with companies is that they should be way more lenient with skits because that's also what keeps the audience retention on YouTube. If you want to sell more, people have to watch your ad, and then it has to be entertaining, and then you have to be more lenient with the exact bullet points.
That's what they're there
it's a
for.
win-win
They're
for
there
everyone.
the creator. Like let the creator do the creator thing. Like that's how the audience
we
came
are-
here in the first place.
Yeah, we know the audience, and it's also good for them that the audience don't just skip it. So everyone wins. Our video doesn't tank. We don't look like complete sellouts, and they also get more clicks. So it's like everyone wins. Why not? Oh my god.
I think the interesting thing, and this is kind of like the bad part about stuff like that, like when you send stuff in for a draft, for example, that shooting skit you talked about.
Right.
I really like that skit. I was like, this is a lot of fun. This is great. Hey, I'm going the extra mile for you, Raid. You're welcome. And then they returned with notes, and they were like, yeah, can you show more gameplay? And I was like, what?
What?
No, look, literally, I was so ticked off about this because I did this whole skit for them.
Didn't you have to do
oh
an
my
insert where you're
God.
like using a different camera, different setup, and you're like, here's my phone? Didn't you have to do that?
Yeah, because they have these weird little things where like, trust me, this is gonna sell it, and it's like, guys, people love the
No, it
skits.
won't.
They talk about the skits, but they're like, no, can you cover up the skit and ruin the flow of it and show gameplay of Gallic
Yeah, and
using
it's-
his
we're-
special power? It's like, dude,
Yeah, well, and they also have the worst stock footage. I had one sponsor once that wanted me so desperate to put in like, oh, you have to use at least 5 out of these 10 stock footage we have, and they're not even widescreen. They're so poorly formatted. It's just like, why? This
Wait, they're
is
not widescreen?
garbage. No, they're not even widescreen. They're like recorded on a phone or something. It's so
Oh.
weird. Yeah,
How would
I'm
you
like,
use that?
what? I don't know, but that was like the requirement. I was like, okay, sure. I squeezed this into the middle of a sketch a bit awkwardly, like la la la, sketchy, sketchy. Bleh. Like, okay, there you go.
That's so
uncomfortable.
silly. A number of months ago, I was reached out to by a company that said, "Hey, would you like this free item if you use it in a video?" And I was like, "Yeah, super duper awesome. I'd be excited. Yeah, for sure." And they're like, "Okay, great. So we need this in 5 videos." I'm like, "No, hang on. You want me to put your thing in 5 of my videos
For free.
for free? What?" They're like, "Yeah, but don't worry. We're covering the cost of the device and shipping." And I was like, "Oh,
Wow, $20
no."
shipping.
spoil me, why don't you?
I know,
Jeez.
right?"
Oh, sugar me daddy. Oh my.
Oh. Have you worked with
That's-
any companies that you wish you would have been able to work with again, but they've kind of like not shown as much interest?
Yes. If you were asking the both of us, I will start with
Sure.
yes.
Yeah. Well, you're our guest here, Gigi. I don't hear from Click. I hear from him enough.
Wait. I want to hear from Click though.
Oh, what? Fine.
my.
Click, go ahead.
I would say half yes. I would say I've worked with companies in the past that did work out really well, but when they have reached out to me back again, they haven't been as enticing. I had one sponsor, for example, I worked with last year that recently reached out to me again and said, "Hey, we want to work with you again." But before the discussion was even started, in their initial email, I think I showed this to you as well because I thought it was kind of funny. They said like, due to we need to reach our KPIs or key performance indicators or whatever acronym they used. We need to lower the standard rates, and this was before we had even discussed the rates.
They sent you an email saying, "Hey, we'd like to pay you less. Are you ready for the advertisement?"
And this was before I had ever replied. This was the initial email before we even discussed rates. And I was like, "Well, you're already trying to make me sell this cheap, and you haven't even asked what my standard go-to rate is. What are you doing?" So that was a company I would have liked to work with again, but not under those circumstances.
That's so
I just
funny.
replied to them I just replied to them something like, "Hey, super nice you're considering me, but please come back with a more competitive offer in the future. Thank you, bye."
Dude, I
So
died
weird.
when you sent me that.
It was so funny, right?
Hello. Would you like to work with us again? We will pay you less.
Exactly. Your channel is larger now, but we'll pay you even less. It's like, what? Why would I? Okay.
It's so funny.
Oh,
Normally,
my.
the payment offers scale. With growth, perhaps not enough to actually measure up with your growth, but going backwards is such a wild concept.
It's
Even
so
if they're
weird.
testing the
But I
waters
think
to see what they could get away with, that's so counterintuitive.
it's a weird way to introduce a discussion. But one thing I realized that I think a lot of these problems with sponsors stem from is that at least a lot of people that reach out to me are third-party companies. So
Right.
when the mother company has some kind of demand, it goes through this secondary company who doesn't really have the authority to change anything. So they come up with these ridiculous demands, like, "Oh, you must use this clip in the advertisement even though it doesn't fit, because the mother company has told us so, and we're on a strict contract, but none of us have the creative freedom to bend the rules that like you would normally do with common sense." So it's just a disconnect through that. But Gigi, go ahead. What companies would you like to work with again before I tangent off?
Try to top that story.
Well, there's a lot of companies I'd like to work with again, because I kind of had I had some fun one-hit wonders on my channel. I think working with HBO Max was really cool, just by notoriety. I feel like I feel like I have some white whales as sponsors, where even if even if the rate isn't the hottest, it's I'll work with you just because this is cool to put on my sponsor resume. It's a fun little thing. But there was a company that I used to really want to be super cool with, have really good rapport. Hey, I'm in it for the long haul with you guys because I enjoyed their products, right? And the way our sponsorship relationship started was them telling me, "Hey, we want to offer you this rate." And I was like, "Okay, that's too low. Thoughts on that?" They're like, "Well," and this was right around coronavirus times when it started, right? And they're like, "Well, it's just because of, COVID, we just can't pay creators as much as,
We heard a
what they
lot of
want."
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really
That was the go-to excuse for
odd.
everything.
yeah.
So they said that, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? I like you guys. Let's go on a trial run here, and as long as you promise to pay me pretty once everything starts to get a bit better, hey, I'm cool, because I want to have a good relationship with you guys. I think it'd be really cool to have a good relationship with you guys."
Sure.
So we started to keep working together, and the first video I put them on did phenomenal. 1 million views. Hello, hi, I'm here,
Damn.
right? So I
That's
was
a
like,
good return. Oof.
so I was over there, I was just kind of, flexing my nuts a little bit, hello, you see what I do out here, right?
Jeez.
And they were like, oh, yes, sir. So they added a tiny piece of pie to the rate. Very tiny. Not worth it. Still underpaying me by my rate, right? But they added a tiny bit more. And I was like, okay, COVID, I get it. And I must have made 3 more videos with them. And things were going well. I kept putting them on banger videos. I was not disappointing on my end of the bargain. And they kept adding a tiny piece of pie, still underpaying me the entire time, right?
Yeah.
And then I get another email, and they say, "Hey, let's do another sponsorship." And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, we're gonna pay you this." And they dropped down 25% of what they were paying me. And I think what boggled my mind is they did it without even thinking I was gonna have any sort of reaction to it.
Right.
They were just like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna pay you. We're also gonna send you your free product. Oh yeah, it's worth a $35 value." I was like,
Oh,
"Whoa."
jeez.
So I immediately respond. I'm like, hey, this kind of sucks. Like, I told you guys a while ago, like, I want to get paid what I deserve to get paid. I've been willing to take these pay cuts because I want to work with you guys. COVID's been kind of just going on, and I've been getting regular offers from every other sponsorship deal. So what's the deal here? And they just kind of gave me nothing from that. They were just like, oh, sorry, yeah, no, it doesn't make sense on our ROI. It's like, yes, it does. I was like, I will show you the analytics. Dude, literally everybody talks about you.
God.
Like, people like you as a sponsor. What do you mean? You are a liar. You are a dirty, steamy liar.
Oh, that's so horrible.
ROI is return on investment for anyone in the background just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they suck, and I don't support them anymore.
Oh no, you ready to burn that bridge too?
I'll burn that bridge. I'll say their name. I don't give
What's
a damn.
their name,
Because they're
GG?
also the same company that had me agree to using me in promotional material in perpetuity.
God.
Who said we don't pay people for that, which is horse poop, and that's just not a thing. Right? And now I have to have people tell me, like, hey, dude, I saw you in this commercial. And it's like, oh, dude, that's cool. Because I kind of just hate myself for that. And I agree
Exactly.
to that.
Wow, I hate those guys now. Like, cool, they saw me. Yeah, thanks.
And,
Wow.
I don't stand for it. So, Manscaped, go F yourself, you dirty, grimy monsters.
Oh, the name
No
drop.
way.
I hate it. So sad.
Seriously.
Damn, the
burned
world is
you.
a small place.
Oh my goodness. How
Isn't this funny?
dare you?
Isn't this funny?
It is. Are you gonna do
you
it?
want to as well?
Are you gonna
you
do
want
it?
to? Well, you remember the story, kids, that I told a little while ago? The ones who want us to write the legal contract and backtracked on a bunch of stuff after we settled? That was also a company that started with M and ended with Anscaped. Wow.
How dare you?
Wow.
The world is a small place and it all comes crumbling down. Yikes.
Oh. Yeah, they really put a bad
Oh.
taste in my mouth. I haven't worked with any sponsors since then. The only people
Oh.
that I even email
Hmm.
are the sunglasses company that I work with because they're like super chill and
Uh-huh.
They seem
They're just-
nice.
they're just nice to talk to. But like every other one, I don't know. I get a little like, ooh, ready for the
I had-
contract? I'm like, nah, you know what? Nah. I was gonna do
No,
this
it's
for
not worth
free,
the
you know?
time. It's like I had. Oh, have you ever had this happen? I had one sponsor. I remember. I don't even remember who it was. I never ended up doing it. But they reached out to me. We talked for a bit, and they asked for, of course, a really poor rate, excusing with COVID and stuff. This was even just a month or two ago. And I said, okay, no, that's ridiculous. But I can settle for like slightly lower than my standard rate, which is this, which
Yeah.
which amounts to like this CPM roughly.
Mhm.
And they said, how about we do your CPM, but we only counted the first 10 days.
Ah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, so wait a second. So you're gonna wait and see how much views my video get after 10 days, then pay me, and then all the views after that are for free?
Hmm.
I'm like, no, nope. And then they never replied.
It's so funny. I mean, if the agreement was like you'd put it in the video and then after 10 days you could cut it out of the video, like maybe. But
I mean, sure, yeah, then that's fine. Like, okay, I'll cut out your part after 10 days too. Then how about that?
I'll
Like, the
include
YouTube
that in
editor. YouTube editor is a thing. Like, we can do this both ways, fam.
that's too funny. Like right after you get the I don't know if you're signing a I don't know. I'm not okay. We're not advocate. I'm leaning in close to the camera. We're not advocating for any skeezy business practices. Everyone.
Oh, no,
like,
no.
Obviously,
Don't
like,
be
treat people
shady.
fairly. We're just throwing shade.
This is banter.
Just
This
jokes.
is just
We're just
banter.
joking. Right. That covers us. Whew, now we can say anything.
Okay. Woo!
Oh my goodness.
There was I mean, since we're just bad mouthing sponsors and having a good old jolly time.
Go.
So there was a sponsor that I got reached out to, and it was from a third party representative, right? He didn't directly represent them, but he reached out to me, and he was the worst third party representative I think I've ever dealt with in my life. Just horrible to talk to, horrible to communicate with, very short with me and everything. But we were talking, and he was trying to get me to do. Well, I'm not gonna say what it is quite yet. I don't know if I want to. I mean, I'm fine burning this bridge, but let me lead up to the story,
It's
right?
fine. It's fine.
Okay, so
Let's
problems
the
I came
audience
with-
have to anticipate.
Gotta build it up.
the problems came where we didn't agree on a rate whatsoever. Right? He was just fighting me, trying to nickel and dime me as much as possible, because personally, I think he just wanted a juicier cut. He was a third party representative, right?
Oh yeah, they just
So-
take the middle in between. So I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, yes.
So we fought about that for a while, and finally we agreed on a number, and I was like, okay, cool. And then he was like, all right, well, go do that. What I had to do was play a game online and make that in the video, right?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
he told me, all right, go play that game and then come back with a draft. How
Right.
soon can you have it? And I was like, well, I have a lot of videos, so-and-so. He's like, can you have it in a couple days? No. You should try and have it in a couple days. At least any type of draft. I'm like, what, do you just want a non-edited video? What is that going to do for you? And he's like, yes, I need to show something immediately. I was like, okay, fine, sure. So I did that. I send out the video, and then he comes back with this massive list of things I did wrong in the video. And he's like,
What?
this is what the company says. I didn't do this. I forgot to mention this. I didn't mention this about the game. I should cut this out about the game.
But he
and
didn't
I-
give you the like.
I
script to
immediately
follow or
respond.
anything?
I was like, you didn't say that. Because he gave me the most simple instructions. He
Yeah.
was like, just play the game. Don't forget to put this in the beginning and that. I was like, okay, simple. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And I immediately say, dude, you didn't tell me any of this. And he was like, how soon can you fix it? Like, ignoring everything I'm saying.
Oh my god.
The pain.
The worst person to work with. And I was like, okay, fine. Now, the thing about this game is it's a thing where it's kind of, you have gold to start with in the game. And once
Right.
that runs out, you can no longer play the game. So you
Oh.
either need to wait for it to regenerate or you buy gold, like
Right.
with real money.
Oh,
And then-
typical mobile game, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's usually the thing. So I'm talking to the guy and I tell him, hey, because he complained. He also says the video's too short, and I'm like, well, I stopped playing when I ran out of gold because I'm not gonna spend money on this.
What? No way.
So he
No way.
so he tells me, oh yeah, no, you should have told us. We can make you a gold account, so that way we just give you the free money and you can play as long as you want. And I'm like, you
Oh
didn't
my God.
mention that.
Holy shit.
So
Oh
he
my
says,
God.
okay, what's your account? I send him my account. A day later,
Yeah.
he says, hey. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, did you record? I'm like,
No. you're
no,
waiting
there's
on
no
the
money in
account.
my account. And he's like, well, it does regenerate over time. Check to see if you can finish it with the gold in your account. Like, too lazy to even just verify my account. I was like, oh, okay. So then I record the rest with whatever was left. Send it his way.
Speed run it.
Continues to complain about things in the video
No.
that he failed to mention as well. So this company's like dogging on me like, hey, this guy sucks, dude. What the hell? But I'm like, I was given no info whatsoever.
Right.
So finally,
God.
I get out the product to him and he's happy with the product. And it doesn't end there because I'm like, okay, when can I expect payment? Doesn't respond to me. Okay.
No.
What?
Cool. Day passes. I text him again. Hey, when am I going to get paid, good sir? And he's like, oh, yeah, let me figure that out. So it goes 3 weeks that I do not get paid. And this isn't like a net 45 kind of deal for those
Right.
at home. Net 45 thing is kind of like a typical thing. Well, you'll get paid like 45 days after the end of the month in which you did the sponsorship. It's just a regular thing that's not grimy in any kind of way. But that was never told to me, right? He didn't say, well, you're going to have to wait this amount. He's just kind of stringing me along. So I keep telling him, hey, I want to get paid. I need this money. And he responds, and he responds, he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, can you do PayPal? And for those of you who don't know, if you get paid a large sum, PayPal will take out a fee. The
Substantial.
larger
It's a
the
pretty-
the larger the
it's a pretty
sum,
thick-
the more the fee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Percentage,
thick
yeah.
fee. Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, can you do PayPal? And I'm like, if you cover the fee, sure, I can do PayPal. And he's like, I can cover a little bit of the fee. Not giving me an exact number, just a little bit of the fee.
Okay.
Whatever he feels like, right? Whatever seems cute in the moment.
Okay.
And I was like, okay,
No.
then no PayPal, just wire me. He's like, you sure you don't want to do PayPal? Oh, okay, fine. I'll cover half the fee. I am like, sir, I am not gonna lose out a dime because you are a lazy person. Okay, so pay me my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shite.
I'm like, cover the fee or wire me. Doesn't respond to me. I have to blow this man up in the DMs, sir. I need my payment. And he finally says, okay, I wired you. And I'm like, you send me a receipt right now because I do not trust you, you dirty, dirty man. Finally sends me the wire receipt after a couple hours, and that's all she wrote. I was paid. That man sucks. And I hate him, and I hold it against the company because of that.
Oh, no. Have you tried to email them
Jesus.
separately to, like, explain what happened?
No, because at that point, it was just like, what's the point? What's
Right.
the point?
My God.
Okay.
Sorry for that long story. I wasn't trying to
No,
drag on
that
too
was
much.
That was
amazing.
beautiful.
What a
That was a
journey.
beautiful
I
story.
feel like I lived it. There's so many relatable moments in it too. There's just the I dislike the waiting on the email and the lack of clarification when you're trying
Oh,
honestly to work with someone. You're trying very much to give them exactly what they want based on what they've asked for. And then it's just silence on the other side. That's very frustrating. And gosh, are you ready to burn that bridge?
Yes, sir. Okay, you guys might not even recognize this name. Honestly, it's kind of obscure. I've never even seen other people's videos on this. It's an online, and this is pretty out there for a sponsor, by the way. It's an online gaming site that primarily centers around hentai and hentai content, right? So it's a saucy website. And it's pretty out there, but I thought it was fun because I was like, I can make good content out of this. Whatever, I'm cool with this. And it's called Nataku, and I've had videos with them that I've pulled, thankfully, because I read the contract and they were like, you only have to have it up for 6 months. Okay, cool. Instantly privated as soon as that
Why?
6-month anniversary hit, because I want no representation of that.
I'm not even.
what were they
familiar
called?
with-
Did you say
Yeah.
Naku?
That's
What are they called? What did you say they're called? Naku? No.
Nataku. Are you you want me to give you my gold account so you can?
Yeah, no. I have a vague recollection of getting a sponsor email from something similar, but I don't
it's
think it
possible.
was them.
Yeah, no, they. I think they're. I think what was it? I think their big thing to me in the first initial email was, "Hey, PewDiePie played this once." And he had a video on it, which, by the way, PewDiePie privated as well. So when they sent me the video of it, it was a mirrored video, or like someone re-uploaded it. It wasn't even on his channel.
That's not a good sign.
That's shady as hell. No. Oh,
It's
God.
rough to think about now, but yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna pay you, get that bag.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such a shame with some of these sponsors too. For example, Manscaped, I was so bummed out about because their first advertisement was so fun.
It was so fun.
You remember,
they
like-
let us do
Yeah.
pretty much. We sent them a rough
Yeah.
draft, and like I, like, do you remember what I? Oh God, Click edited it, and he,
Yeah, of course.
he
And I
saw
kept
all the
in the-
pieces that we cut out.
Yeah, the cake shots with
there's
the
there's
boxers
a lot
and
of
stuff,
my
and that
butt
became
in the commercial.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
But like it did so well. Everyone loved it. People kept referring back to it. It was memed out to all heck. It was so fun. People still like draw reference art from it. It's a very funny
Yes.
commercial.
Mhm.
But I also did
I'm
a thing
so-
where like I grabbed the razor and like shoved it in my hand to prove that it would not hurt anyone. Like I was super proud of very specific moments.
You still remember the other part they actually did? They never sent me the box. You remember that? We
Yeah,
had to do the
you
whole
still haven't
sponsorships
sent
were only
Click the
No,
product.
only you had the products. They were like, "Oh, it's COVID. We can't ship to Sweden." And I'm like,
Yes, that was the excuse,
what?
right? I
Really?
remember that.
Okay, then send freaking One Topic $1 extra, and we will pay the $30
Right, yeah.
for shipping it.
They
like
only
whatever.
sent me one box, not the other box for
Yeah.
Click.
And I never got my products. So I did entire sponsorship for Manscaped, and I never touched the products myself. I trust One Topic's judgment, so it wasn't a big deal in that
Oh yeah,
sense,
I
but it's
proved
like,
that it worked, so it was all good.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
you should have at
but-
least had it. I still use
Yeah.
mine occasionally. But
That's so strange. So
I've
strange.
very much like hinted to people before that we would not shop at that company anymore, let alone represent them. I haven't
Yeah.
like outright stated what happened, but like we've gone very light in our description of the events that happen.
Yeah.
It's still a sore spot. Very frustrated.
Kind of.
Gigi, what would you recommend, like in ways of gathering a good sponsorship? Like shifting this a little bit, how have you approached getting a sponsorship? Have you only ever waited for the email? And then how do you work through like a successful interaction with a sponsor?
I usually don't do too much reaching out. Funny enough, one company I personally reached out to was Manscaped, so that's fun.
No.
So don't do that. But I mean, finding a good sponsor is. I understand as you're growing as a YouTube channel, at whatever point you're at, you're gonna get multiple sponsorship offers from probably a lot of mobile games and stuff like that, or so and so, and you really got to look at your interactions. You got to look at the creative freedom they give you if you care about stuff like that, because some people genuinely don't. They're like, whatever, I'll shill this out and just read it point for point and call it a day. Whatever, pay me.
Yeah.
Which I get. You don't have to be super happy fun time with the with the ads, right? But I think looking at the interactions and really picking up on those red flags, for example, the things we brought up, because we are able to say that we kind of dodged a lot of those deals. A lot of people take those, though, because, I mean, dude, the money's there, and it's like, wait, you're going to pay me this? Especially as a growing YouTuber, it's like, yeah, of course, whatever. And then you take bad deals, and you do things that heavily favor the company but don't favor you.
I think, especially in the beginning, if you don't have the experience, it's very easy to jump on something just because there's a dollar sign in it, because you're not used. I think that's true for all of us. We started YouTube as a hobby. So all of a sudden you have these people who are willing to pay you something for it. And just getting paid for something that you initially viewed as a hobby is a super enticing concept in the first place. You're kind of blinded by that. But it's also important to realize, don't get taken advantage of it. Because it's also the fact, if you're looking for long-term relationships, if you settle for too little in the beginning, it's really difficult to fight your way back to a reasonable standard after that point. If you set the bar low initially. That's something I've noticed with sponsors.
It's also at a point when you're getting those first contacts and interactions where you're struggling to make things work potentially. And like any money is good money, because you do need to pay your bills, do you need to pay rent. And even at the time when we did ours, it was I didn't know if I had much of a runway with YouTube. I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot, but like it's very up and down right now. It's not doing so hot. So I probably would have accepted just about any sponsorship at the time. So I can see definitely getting like sucked into the wrong ones.
I see a lot of sponsorships do that on Twitch, for example, where they go to small to medium-sized streamers. I get a lot of these emails via Twitch. I never bother replying to them. And I understand why they're enticing, because if you are on that, for example, you've just made a leap, you've just made this your full-time, and you're barely paying your rent every month. Of course, like even a small sponsorship can be the difference between paying your rent and not, or having to go back to an office job. But the companies that do these, they come off so dirty to me. They are like, we'll pay you this really, really weirdly small amount. And what they demand for it is like, we need a banner on your stream with a watermark of our company for 2 months. We need 2 ad breaks a week for a month. You need to have a bot in your chat that spams our discount link every 10 minutes. You need like a referral link. You should mention our products in passing in every other stream, even the ones that are in dedicated streams, for example.
And have it on screen at all time for X
exactly.
amount of days.
And then it's like you have to stream at least 4 hours a week, this game, like mobile game or whatever the deal is about. It's like, holy crap. That's like basically dedicating your entire Twitch channel to this ridiculously small sponsorship for like a month or sometimes 2 months for almost nothing. And when they reach out to people, I think might be in that position where they're right on the fence, like, can I survive the next month as a creator or not? I that rubs me the wrong way. I really don't like that.
That actually triggered something for me. When I mentioned that the only people that are emailing me for sponsors these days are Raid, it's only for Twitch. No one, they're not emailing me about YouTube, which is arguably my bigger platform where more people see the content. It's so odd that they're only contacting me about Twitch. I didn't think about that until just now.
So weird.
Why? I'm not even risque. I don't even swear. What the fudge?
I've done one stream sponsored by Raid, and it was just, I mean, I kind of just agreed with Click, where it just seemed like, this is too much. Don't don't creep into my streaming. I'll keep you on the videos, but this isn't as fun on streaming, and the pay isn't anywhere near YouTube pay. So it's like, I'll skip on this.
The valuation isn't really there.
Yeah, whatever they paid me on Twitch, I just allocated that and put it towards like a gifting streamers thing, and I was just like,
that's nice.
Get this away from me. I don't want to even look at it. I'm ashamed. But the first sponsor I had, very first sponsor I accepted, I don't remember their name because I would totally dunk on them right now. But it was this privacy phone thing that used to be kind of big around like EduBirdie days. You know, when like the sponsors were like semi like side-eyed, like what is this? But it was like a privacy phone thing because they reached out, and this is when I had 100K subs, right? And I was so geeked to have one sponsorship offer. It's like, this is crazy, dude. Yes, I will definitely work with you guys. Oh my gosh. And they were like, all right, and I'm gonna drop numbers on this one, boys, so be prepared.
Oh, jeez. All right.
This might expose all of us.
All right.
So they were like, hey, all right, yeah, can you do a 60-second sponsorship talking about this? We will give you $50. And I was
Whoa. Yeah. Damn,
those are
boy.
fat stats.
Oh. Hey, you know,
in singles, that'd be pretty tall.
It's a lifestyle. You know, I'm in a specific tax bracket, boys. Okay.
Tell me you didn't accept that for 50 bucks.
Hey, OT, come on, don't disrespect me like
Tell
that.
me.
I am a businessman. You know this.
Did they at least double it?
Okay.
So I said, hey, listen here. I'm not using my professional negotiating expertise.
$60.
I said $50 sounds good, but you know what sounds better, boys? $100.
Oh, damn!
I said 3 digits. And they were like, duh. And they had the nerve to say, man, you drive a hard bargain, sir. But we'll take it. $100.
60 seconds?
They said we'll take it for $100. And then you know what? Wait, hold on. It didn't end there, boys, because I started to regret my decision. I was like, wait a minute. Am I cheaping myself here? 100K subs? I'm averaging at least like 150,000 views on my videos. You know what? I want 150 from you guys. I changed my mind. I haven't signed a contract. I demand my 150. And they said, all right, geez, don't twist our arm here, buddy. We'll do it for 150. And I did the sponsorship for them on a video that performed very, very well. And for the boys and girls at home, I'm not going to give you exact numbers, but if you get offered $50 to $150 when you have 100K subs and are averaging 150,000 views, don't do that. You are worth more. Speak to fellow creators and try and get a ballpark.
Yes.
Get a ballpark.
It also matters a lot. In different genres because like CPM can vary so much between different creators, different genres. Like Click and I don't even have the same CPM, and we're relatively in the same kind of like field.
It varies a lot between videos, between times a year, everything.
Yes.
And one pretty good ballpark for CPM when it comes to sponsors, anything lower than regular Google ads, it's a no-go. You should get at least like double of your CPM of Google ads, at least. That's like a minimum.
Because it's not even just like the payout up front that you're trying to...
And you're just sitting there laughing.
You're not paying for the first month. You're paying for like that video exists forever in your library. Like you want to make sure that you're compensated appropriately.
And you also personally endorse it. It's your own brand on the line. It's just not a random Google ad. I actually had an interesting conversation with some people who work with Swedish influencers and with different industries. And without dropping numbers, of course, because I'm not sure if I'm really allowed to do that. It would be kind of tacky, I think. But basically, if I put it this way, the people they worked with in Sweden, they are like roughly the same size my channel is, but they're like very regional in Sweden. So they're like, local, national celebrities. So everyone here knows them. But for someone like me, I'm spread very thin across the world. So I don't really operate in the same category.
Sure.
Even though they're the same size, but because they operate with very specific brands that very much, typical like beauty YouTubers or like haul videos, that kind of stuff. I think they roughly get paid 10 times as much as I do for sponsors, roughly. Because they are in like that niche market for videos, the brands know what they're looking for, and it's like luxury brands too.
If
it's
they
not
do
like
beauty products. Like I could see that. I could see that paying immensely more. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's also because they know that the entire audience is interested in that. They follow them for fashion, beauty, that kind of stuff. So the sponsors are like, yeah, this is an easy paycheck. So
Right.
they splurge. But for us, it's like, maybe like 10% of your audience is interested in a VPN. So you're like, yeah, this will be a fine amount.
Mhm.
So like it varies so much between different fields. So having a few connections in roughly the same sphere of content creation you are in can give you a very good ballpark estimate of what you should ask for when it comes to sponsors.
Mhm.
I think it's really important to keep an open dialogue. I think creators should be. I mean, I don't know how many creators are doing it behind the scenes. I know I've done it with fellow creators where it's just like, because I know money can be like a touchy issue sometimes for a lot of people,
Right.
right? And it just feels kind of weird. But at the same time, it's good to talk to other people and be like, hey, I know you've worked with, let's say, Raycon. I'm curious, what did you get paid? Because I want to know, like, are they trying to screw me over personally? Because I've seen those situations happen where it's two channels around the same size, averaging around the same amount of views, but this guy didn't ask for a high rate. So they just said, oh, okay, you want that? Yeah, no, that's fine. But you can be worth so much more. I feel
Right.
like problem shared or problem solved. So keeping an open dialogue is really important amongst creators with this type of stuff because, at the end of the day, in a weird way, we love sponsors, but also in a weird way, it's kind of us versus them. We don't want to get taken advantage of. We gotta.
No, but it's in any situations like that, especially when you have these third-party companies that usually, like you said, they take the middle ground. For example, if the sponsor has X amount of dollars in budget, well, the middleman keeps X minus whatever you ask for.
Mhm.
So they will always want to pay you as little as possible, and you want to pay as much as possible. So even though it's a partnership, your interests are actually directly at odds, and that's important.
Too many
to be,
people tasting the same pie.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's important to be realistic with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they need to keep their lights on too. So, like, it costs money to run a business. I get it. But they have enough to splash around more than they offer to us. I see that pretty regularly in smaller circles and smaller circumstances, just like with what people will pay for streams, for example. Because, like, while I've only been offered rate, I still reach out to people. I'm like, hey, did you get any emails this month? Like, does anyone offer anything? Like, oh, yeah. This one said I'd get $25 a stream if I did it every month. Every day of a month, and I'm like, oh, that's don't do that. That's not enough.
No, I don't think I've ever been. I got offered a decent sponsor once for a stream, but they never got back to me. I think I was too late on it. They probably spent their budget already. But
Right.
I think it was Ark Survival Evolved. They did promotion streams for a new expansion, and they actually offered a decent rate compared to how large my Twitch presence actually is. And that was kind of nice. Didn't end up doing it.
That's right up your alley too. You like that game?
Yeah, it's pretty much in line with what I play on Twitch anyway, like survival games and stuff. Perfect. That's, I think, the only reasonable offer I've ever gotten on Twitch. Everything else has been complete garbage.
One funny thing, this is just, I don't know why I got reminded of this, but this is a good sponsor story. The sponsor reached out to me and they were like, hey, we want to work with you. And I was like, oh, okay, I've actually heard about you guys. This is cool. And I don't know how many creators they've worked with, but there was clearly some sort of disconnect in the people that were talking to me, because there's two different people talking to me. The first one reached out to me and they were like, hey, what's your rate? Let's say, for example, I said my rate is $10. I would like to get paid $10 for this sponsorship. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. A couple days passed by, and I was like, hey, any follow-up? Just want to know if this is going to work out or not.
Yep.
And then I get reached out to from the other person in the transaction, who I don't know if she read my email, but she just came in here and she was like, oh, hey, yeah, we want to work with you. I think we can give you a budget of $500. And I paused for a second and I had to reread the email because I said I would do it for 10. And they blew my offer out of the water, and they said, "We'll give you. We can only give you 500."
Like,
And
okay,
without skipping a beat, my fingers are Usain Bolt replying to that email, and I said, "Yes, I will agree to this. Yes, thank you. Hello, yeah, I can do this immediately. Send me the brief. Thank you." And I agreed to it, and it was a great, fun time. And thank you guys, appreciate that.
God damn.
God damn.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
where
like
the
the
disconnect
opposite of
was,
first sponsor.
but we take those.
That's a
They
disconnect in the
misread
right
that
way.
as instead of $10 as $1,000. And they're like, oh gosh, no, we'll offer him half. Ha, sucker.
Yeah, they missed a couple
Got
of
him.
zeros.
Got him.
Got it.
Oh,
Jeez.
it's beautiful.
I did get
Beautiful.
actually, I got an email since we're speaking about games. I got an email from a company saying, hey, would you like free promotional material? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And when they sent it to me, it was just like a couple small things, but I was so excited that I reached out to a bunch of my creator friends. I'm like, hey, can you quickly do some voice lines for me? I'm working on something. It's really sneaky. And then I made a little video out of it and put it up on my second channel. And I wasn't paid a dime for it, but like I got some cool little nifty gear, and I got word out that a new game is coming out that I'm super excited for. And I've been waiting for years because they keep delaying it. Dying Light 2. So stoked on that. Would love to run. Dying Light, if you're listening this far in the podcast, hit me up.
The one
tried
bridge we
contacting a few
didn't
times.
burn. Woo!
Yes, exactly. No,
Let's
I'd love to work
go.
with them. There's some like gaming companies I'd love to, or not gaming companies, but like there's certain games that I'd like to play on stream. And if I could get like some sort of sponsorship around that, not Raid, then I would be more than happy to.
Oh,
Yes.
it's okay, Ray.
Oh.
I still
Yeah,
love you.
they've got enough people. I think they don't need me.
They do. And I think they kind of capitalized on being a meme as well. I think they're fine with it.
I remember when Danny was doing it. Danny Gonzalez. Like that was right around when the meme was kind of dying out, I think, because a lot and even he started saying like, I know you've seen them around a lot, but for so long, so many people were kind of riffing on Raid and saying like they're garbage, they're worthless. Here's the game, download it now. Like
Yeah.
for the
Pretty
meme
much, yeah.
alone, I probably would have downloaded it. As soon as it started getting a little bit more polished as an ad, I'm like, nah, I kind of lost interest.
Mm. I liked Internet Historian's ad reads on it. That was so funny. Oh my god. Have you seen those?
Didn't you have to censor it?
Well, what was this?
No, Internet Historian YouTube channel. He did like Raid sponsors, and he made like a character for it and everything. It's such a massive shit post, and it's so funny. I can't believe they agreed to that.
It's a shit post, but it's also like so much effort and such
I know.
good
It's like-
content too.
It's a high production shit post. I love it. Best thing ever.
It takes a lot of work to be funny. And like when
Yes.
you put that much originality, thought, and personality into something, it's wild that a company would ever say, "Nah, we want our script.
Yeah. They
Just
want
do
the
what
stock
we
footage.
want." Yeah, stock footage at 720p, vertical.
Yeah, oh
only.
god.
I think Raid
Throwbacks.
tripped me out. This was kind of like when there was like a wave of Raid, like definitely hitting YouTube.
Mhm.
I was watching a video that the creator was talking about a controversial topic, right? They were talking about something that happened in the community, and it was very serious toned, and there was no background music, there was nothing, and they were like, but before we move on,
No, no.
this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. And I said, Raid.
No.
What do you? And this like creator's known for that, and I was just like, this is like two worlds colliding. What is happening? Stop sneaking into everything, Raid. This is not the place nor the
gosh.
time.
Let's talk about
that-
it super serious. My pets died. Anyway, Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh.
That's when I realized they've
no.
taken over.
Yes. Yeah, they put it on everything. It's kind of
That's
funny in
wild.
one
You
way.
can. I don't know. Even as a creator, I'd be super uncomfortable doing something like that. Like a lot of the content that I do right now, I probably wouldn't accept to put an advertisement on it just because of like the subject matter that I'm talking about or like where I want the focus to be. But some of the stuff, I would go buck wild. But like I wouldn't feel good about putting Raid on a serious video.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Context matters.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I'd
yeah.
put an ad on a serious video. I don't know. I feel
It depends on
uncomfortable.
it depends on the subject, but yeah,
Mhm.
I suppose.
All right, that's
What
it.
do you
That's the
think?
podcast. Bye.
Hey, that was a pretty natural like roundoff. Good little awkward silence.
Yeah, exactly.
We have been going for a while. What do you think, Mr. Didi? Was this fun? Did you enjoy ragging on sponsors for a good solid hour?
I had an incredible time because I love doing
Oh,
this. I would love to do this more. I could do it for another 2 hours if you guys really wanted to.
I got a good title for
nice.
this already. I thought of it pretty early on, but it's like we burn the bridges with our sponsors. Like that's
Oh, so
right.
Yes, I already have. If you want to ask like Ann Mine or someone to make a thumbnail for this one, it would be so good. Like imagine us as cartoon characters standing on one end and just lighting, one of those hangy wooden bridges, and then you have like a couple of like vague off-brand cartoonish things on the other side, like oh.
This was a blast. Gigi, I'm glad that you came back. It's been a little bit over a year since our last podcast together, and very different circumstances. Like back then, you sent out a tweet that was just like, hey,
yes.
I have a couple days free. I will do as many podcasts right now as message me back on this tweet. And immediately I messaged Click. I'm like, dude, this guy that I watch on the regular, like he's doing, like, dude, we got to jump on this. I quickly responded and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll slot you in somewhere. I'm like, oh sweet. So then, then you're like recording 4 or 5 in a row, and we're like emailing you, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be late. I don't have enough time. I don't know. I've got too many going on today. So I appreciate you making the time to record with just us today. That was really cool.
It was just I had like I forgot what it was. It was like 10 to 12 podcasts in that day alone, and I was like, this is gonna work. And by the time I got to you guys, I was gassed. I hated life. I was like, I don't even want to talk about anything. So
It was still a good pod, and it was amazing that like you still jumped into it despite forgetting like who we were. Like that was the funniest thing to me. Like you guys are. Oh, I know this.
Oh, it was so
No.
funny. I remember that.
I know it was all a disaster. I hated every minute of it because like at least you guys, I felt bad too because you guys were so nice and you were so inviting, and like obviously like you guys were good at this too because a lot of amateur podcasters obviously reached out to me too, and I was like, yeah, sure. Where I had this one person who talked to me for like 10 minutes and asked me like 2 questions, and then they asked me another question which was kind of like the first question, and then they kept doing that. And I was like, I kind of already answered this, my guy. Like, trying to be as nice as possible. And he was like, okay, I think we're going to end it there. And I was like,
Oh no!
I was like, man,
poor boy.
I feel for you, man, but this is frying my brain right now.
Oh.
So I felt like I definitely owed it to you guys to run this back because I don't even want to listen back to that first podcast.
No,
So
it's still good. It stands up. It holds
I'll
up.
listen. I'll listen back to this one. This one sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, and you're lucky. Some of you sponsors are lucky that I didn't get to you because you were next.
You know what, Gigi? Come back in the future. We'll see who catches hands next time.
Yeah. you're ready.
Oh my God! You want to see what other sponsors have been horrible behind the scenes? Come for the tea spilling on the Ship Podcast.
Let's
with
see
Mr.
who
GT.
dares email us now. We'll prepare to get roasted.
Let's see. We still have jobs until the.
Yeah, Gigi. No, it's been a blast. We'll have you back again in the future for sure.
Yes, this was beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Seriously, I appreciate it.
No worries. Check out Gigi. It's got a channel. It's got Twitch, whatnot. Click, roll that outro.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for dropping by. You are all beautiful beings. Make sure to check out Mr. Gigi, one topic at a time, and the click in the description down below. You all smell amazing today, and take care. We'll see you in the next episode. Mwah.